Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, coming to you live from the Temple of Speed, the home of Ferrari and the Tifosi, those bloody mad Italians. We're talking about Monza. We're talking about all 5.5 kilometres of it. We're talking about round 7 of Waste Options GT3, and we're back to the Pro Split tonight. This was originally scheduled to be a Pro-Am broadcast, but we've got a little bit of a surprise there for you, which we'll get to in just a few moments. I'll get Adam Labus to explain the ins and outs of what we're doing over the next couple of weeks to you. But there it is, 5.75 kilometres, 22 degrees, 26 on track, very similar temperature and conditions to what we saw at Barber. The time of the server, as you can see there, is today's date, but or it's yesterday's date actually, but it will refresh in just a moment, so we'll have the updated track very, very shortly, and how that compares to Eastern Daylight Time. Round 7, 60 minutes, so it's our third last single race of the year. Next week we're off to Brands Hatch, sprint round, fourth and final one of the season. Then 60 minutes the week after from Spa, then 90 minutes the week after from the Daytona International Speedway road course, and we're looking forward to that. Although that being said, can I be perfectly honest? If we wanted to do something different, 90 minutes on the oval would be quite the spectacle. I would imagine. Could you imagine the amount of carnage? Wouldn't it be great? There's the championship standings, and more things change and more they stay the same. We've changed from GT4 to GT3. We've changed circuits and continents, but the name at the top remains the same, albeit in a different car, albeit in a different manufacturer. Matty Dench on top, 38 points, the advantage over Ash Collins and Richard Mitchum. Then further back, Aaron Cooper is in 4th place, Thomas Foster, Wayne Hewitt, then Nick Wood, Brenton Jewell, Guy Leach and John Merritt, the top 10. McLaren, Ferrari, BMW, Lamborghini, Porsche and Audi, 6 different manufacturers of the 8 on the grid in the top 10 there. And Braden Sagassa, the best of the Mercs, in 14th place. No Fords at this stage, are there, Adam, on the grid here? So that means that the FORD GT gets no love whatsoever. But 7 different manufacturers in the top 15 speaks volumes about the competitiveness of this championship at the moment. We've got cars lining up on the grid. We'll get to that in just a moment. In fact, Adam can put it up on your screen and you can start scrolling through that. But with your eyes, of course. But in the meantime, the updated server setting has us at 4:01 in the afternoon. That'll take us to just past 6 o'clock track time by the time the checkered flag waves. That's 6 p.m. in the evening. And of course, we're still 10 hours ahead of... see, America started daylight saving yesterday. Europe is still a fortnight away. So this is European Standard Time that we're dealing with here. Sunset not as late in the evening. So we will be heading towards the twilight at 6 p.m. server time, which is still 10 hours behind us here on the eastern seaboard of Australia, with the exception of state 9, 10, 11. and therefore, as a result of that, we can tell you that if we were calling this at the same time as what the server is showing at the moment, we'd be here at about 2 a.m. tomorrow morning. No, thank you. So there it is. There's the grid for this round of the championship. 28 cars on the grid lining up. Matty Dench from pole, Daniel Birchnell. Kenny Conamos is back. Timmy Russell's alongside him. Then John Merritt, Shane Clancy, Richard Mitchum, Glenn Watkins, Alan Holgerson, and Matt is still the top 10. So Adam, just for the benefit of those tuning in at home, there's a couple of changes coming up in the next couple of weeks with regards to Pro-Am and Am, and therefore it's impacted directly our broadcast arrangements for the next couple of weeks. We're going here for pro racing, not Spa.
Yeah, so we've decided to with a slightly, the numbers for Pro-Am and Am have been sort of on that, just that right in that bubble where you could just join the servers up. So for the last 2 rounds, we're going to put them together, like we did for a test the last week at the Enduro. It seemed more people than not were happy with how that turned out. So we'll do the final round. So that basically with that, it seemed the smarter option to swap their broadcast to that Spa round, because that way it gives both of them a extra round of exposure rather than just the Pro-Am guys. So just a bit of a way to get both the Pro-Am and the Am guys on the broadcast and give them some TV time.
Very nicely done. We look forward to doing that. Joe Baldwin was just alerting me to something during the break here as well. If you're a fan of Shane Van Gisbergen, he's just released a public statement on his social media pages with regards to some of the comments and incidents over the weekend. Well worth a read. I've just had a quick scroll through it. So it goes into a fair bit of depth, which is more than what got out of him in the press conference last night. Set for a start here. Matty Dench and Daniel Birchnell on the front row. Watch Kenny Conamos from the second row. High horsepower circuits have a habit of not suiting Matty Dench's car, but it's not reflecting that way on the outright championship leaderboard at the moment. Round 7, race 10 of the championship. Waste Options GT3 from the Temple of Speed, our first and only stop in Italy this season. Let's go! Dench leads by 2 car lengths already. Now, the braking duel to turn 1. Who's the bravest here? Can we get through cleanly without incident? Waiting for some sound effects that impact or reflect a little bit of hip and shoulder. There has been a little bit, not as much as we might have expected. A little bit of side-by-side running each other out of track there. Further back, 11th Alan Holgerson all over the back of Glenn Watkins, and Dave Oliver's in there for good measure as well. It was nice to see Dave at SMP the other night. So, all things considered, yes, there's been some different barge at Monza in the past. The first corner, the first chicane is a danger point, a hot spot on this circuit. But they've used a little bit of patience. Oh, jeez. Whoa, there we go. There's the first one. Gone. Thanks for coming. That's not what we like to see. Couple of cars off in the opening stages on the opening lap. And apologies, I just had the mic drop out momentarily there. That's why we went incredibly silent. The USB cable just didn't like being jigged. And all it was, just to explain it to everybody at home, I'm on the remote setup tonight. All I did was flick the lid over on the laptop itself, the screen down. The USB just went conk. So here we go, down the main straight, lap 1 in the book, 1:47.79 for Kenny Conamos. So trouble on the opening lap for the championship leader, Matty Dench. That was one of the big moments. We'll get some replays for you in just a tick. Huge drama here on the opening lap. Connor Nixon down, 13 spots. Dench limping back to pit lane, down 28 spots. In fact, Dench might be out of business. Could well be. Drama on the opening lap here. And just as just as, ironically enough, I was praising everybody for using a little bit of patience and a little bit of common sense and a little bit of wise heads and shoulders. Whoa, trouble! Jeez, contact through the first of the Lesmos. There's red light off-track alerts popping up all across the screen here, so bear with us as we get on top of that, folks. Yeah, it's all happening at Monza. So the drama wasn't through. We're just being told that it looks like a dropout, a network dropout for Matty Dench. Wow, that says everything. Off-track now goes Wayne Hewitt as well. Luke Hay out of business as well, if you don't mind. He's disconnected. So a network dropout for Dench. It would appear as though that's the case. I can't quite believe that because, as I said, I didn't even see an incident, so that would make a hell of a lot more sense than what we've been trying to figure out what the hell's going on. In comes Dave Oliver into pit lane now as well. That's early. End of lap 2. Oh, trouble at 1! There it is. John Merritt's been turned around. Temperament was the word I was looking for. Very disappointing that we couldn't get through the opening lap cleanly, but impressive. Given everything we know about Monza, that they were able to get through the first corner as well as they did. They just started misbehaving a little bit later on in the lap. And that's the thing. So often, Adam, we say, it's a 1 hour race, it's not going to be one on the first corner. So often they lose mindset of that. They lose sight of it. They lose, every sort of knowledgeable, intelligent thought of it, and then go and crash and bang. Tonight, they used their heads. They drove wisely to the conditions. They, showed it, just a little bit of decorum, if you don't mind, to get through that first corner, and then all of a sudden all hell broke loose.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. But I don't think it is. I think a lot of the off tracks so far, I think they're just like little, actual off tracks, like where there's people are running wide and stuff. For the viewers at home, if you look at the track map, if you see a little red circle pop around someone's number, that's an off-track alert that you guys can see on your end. So especially around like the Lesmos and possibly through a Scary, there will be a lot of little flashes of red every now and then as people just go over the line of the thing, which also could be interesting with the limit. Could if some of the guys keep taking those little candies, they might run out soon and have to stop by pit lane to pick up some more.
All right, let's keep our eyes on all of this. Few battles popping up around the track at the moment. Birchnell all over the back of Russell. Off goes Ash Davis in the background. Mitchum under pressure here. Clancy and Distilling behind him. We've picked up Alan Holgerson, who's got... Ben Faulkner, I should apologise. He's got Tom Foster and Bevan Moyes and Alan Holgerson for company, so it's a four-way fight there. Down towards the parabolic.
Still.
Get on the inside. Good move. He's on a charge so far, up 5 spots into P5. So Matty Dench would appear as though he's out of business for the night. He's disconnected, he's done, he's not coming back.
So it looks like Oscar's had a shocker in qualifying because he's normally sort of battling around that top 10 mark, and he has made himself 10 spots so far. So he's on the charge in the fire-breathing beast. So we'll see if he can get a few more during the race.
That hasn't helped Denchi in any way, shape or form, though, has it, Adam? Because he would have loved to have had a round up his sleeve going into the final round. And, I mean, even though he will drop a 0 tonight, it just means he's got one less round to play with if anything goes pear-shaped next week at Brands Hatch. And we know that that's a distinct possibility based on what we saw in an earlier sprint round in this championship whilst we were actually away watching, I think it was Pro-Am.
Yeah, round 4 he had a DNF and a DNS, so with that tonight as well, that's his 2 drop rounds done, so he now has no more lifelines. So any more bad rounds will let the other guys start to catch him up. So that's one benefit for the other guys is if they can get some pressure on him and have him make another mistake, or maybe, I don't know how you're going to force another incident issue, but at least then they've got an opportunity to make some in-grounds and start chewing back into that championship leaders guy.
Yeah, I think at this point in time, I'll just apologise to everybody because, as you could tell, I was struggling to hit the point that I wanted to make there earlier about Turn 1. Just trying to find the right word, and it never came to me. Brains, maturity, pick any synonym or familiar word that you like, or relevant word that you like, and I just couldn't nail it tonight, so I apologise for that. Got caught up in my own sentence structure. 9 minutes gone here, just like that. Blink of an eye, 5 laps gone. Kenny Kotomos, the leader. So 5 in 9 will give you 30 and 54. And probably therefore, as a result of that, probably looking at somewhere in the vicinity. Well, actually, if we round it up to a minute 50, so a minute 50 times that by 6, you're getting 6 laps every 11 minutes. So 55 will give you 30, and a couple of pit stops. Yeah, 32, 33 laps is about where I'm guessing tonight, based on that.
So what we'll do, we'll get a bit of a time with the guys sort of just finding their feet here. We'll see if we can find what happened with some of these incidents earlier on.
Yeah, let's do that. Obviously, we know that Denchi's had a network issue. That's fine. Yeah, they all proceeded through turn 1 with, well, with the exception of that hit and shoulder there. But as I said, that's typical. That bump and rub stuff, that doesn't faze anybody. That's common practice around here. That's Connor Nixon off the road. That was one of the incidents on lap 1. This is what happened. He's going around the back of the circuit through the low flows, I believe. Yep.
He just got a little snap at the rear there.
Yeah, and a little bit of assistance on the way through. Just that slight, gentle touch from the car on his inside as well wouldn't have helped matters. Yeah, Matt's confirmed his internet dropped out, so that's unlucky for Denchi. Both drop rounds burnt for him now, both zeros though, so all the points taken forward to the next round.
Poor Dave was got caught up with someone else's incident there. Lost a few spots out of it. Oh, Stefan's trying to go on the outside.
Geez.
Just clipped the car and it's unsettled him. We'll get a better look at that one. So you see, he's on the outside. He's just broken deep as well. He's gone way deep. Just touched the car and unfortunately got the wall as well. Had enough. We had a previous
He's had enough. That's it. Done.
And here we go. Johnny went there. I think the HTS car just touches the back of the head. A little bit deep, a little little overlap,
A little bit
touch.
too deep. Gone. See you later. Ran out of room, and Merritt was trying to close the door as well and hold the line, which he was entitled to do. He had the corner. It was his. He wasn't under any sort of pressure until the car behind him was too deep. It looked like everyone was willing to settle into a rhythm and play the gentlemanly cards. Have a look at what's followed. Madness. The gloves, it didn't take long for the gloves to come off after that hold. After you, sir. No, thank you. You, sir. Behaviour through turn 1. Right, back to the race. Daniel Birchall sits fourth at the moment. Matt Distill's moved up to third. Tim Russell up to second. Ken Economos challenged at the top end of town, 3.4 seconds at the moment. Economos, Russell, Distill, Birchall, Mitchell and Clancy. Top six at the moment. Distill under pressure from Birchall and Mitchell. Very good charge from Distill. Very good hustle so far. And that's the thing. We highlighted it in the XLs over the weekend at SMP. Some of these guys more accustomed to good qualifying performances or good race performances. Very few can nail both. You get the odd few that come along from time to time. Clearly, Distill either didn't have a great run in qualifying or he's just a better hard-charging racer. And yeah, sure, he's been helped by a couple of those incidents that we've already highlighted. He's going well. Third place at the moment on track for a podium finish. So a long way to go. So yeah, 11 minutes for the first 6 laps. 30 laps in 55, plus 2 transfers down pit lane. I'm wagering 32, probably 33 laps. That will be our target tonight. For safety car. 14 minutes in, so we're in that threshold now that if you want to come in and run an early first stint and then a longer second and third stint, you can entertain that discussion. That forward. Economos, Russell, Distill, Birchall, Mitchell in the top 5.
Nice little move there, Johnny Merritt, trying to make his recovery around the field.
Not going to be easy either, because he's back in 7th, but still, 3.5, half is 5, 6, 7.5, 8 seconds off. And Economos, I think we're fine. So, not an easy thing for Johnny Merritt at the moment. Playing catch up here at Monza. But he can use strategy to his advantage and try and leapfrog a couple of these guys. Remember, Glenn Watkins is only 1.7 up down the road from Richard Mitchell and Daniel Birchall and Matt Distill. So Merritt not out of this yet. But Distill is charging hard, trying to lose Birchall and Mitchell in the slipstream. And that's the thing, the toe's the hardest thing to break around here, isn't it? You know from experience of racing around here, you get such a strong toe because it's such a high speed lap as far as the average speed is concerned, as far as the lap time is concerned, because there are so many straights where 100% full throttle is required. Therefore, it becomes very difficult to break the toe.
Very much so. So it's one of those tracks because it's so you got basically 4 different spots where you can toe, and not much space in between to break the toe. So you kind of need to either have the other person make a mistake, or have the first try and get the guys behind you to battle a little bit and into one of those spots where you can make a break, and try and maximise those corners to try and get that 1 second clear to break that toe.
Brenton Jewell in 17th place at the moment. Shane Clancy into pit lane, the first one to dive in. Dave Oliver's already been in on lap 2. Maybe he knows something to do about pit strategy for the rest of the drive. Stephen Lawrence out of business, so too Matt Stewart, Matty Dench and Luke Hay. Already 4 retirements on the opening 10 laps here. The opening 20 minutes of play.
They're just starting to find their space on track now. Just starting to get a little bit of breathing space around themselves. Get into their groove.
Too early to
say that. Mitchell was going side by side with Lesmos.
Well, yeah, exactly. I was going to say too early to be getting embroiled in heated battles like this because it can so easily go belly up and ruin races rather than anything else.
I was wondering if the guys in the back of that group, they were going to try and go side by side to a scary, but they thought better of it, fell back in, and then back into the slipstream for the next two big straights.
Through they come again, round onto the main straight. Another lap done.
Ben Faulkner in. He's looking to do just the split strategy, 20 minutes each front.
At the moment, Brenton Jewell just ahead of him, then John Wright, then Charles Mitchell, and Oscar Glissett is the top of that train in 13th. 5-car fight, 6-car fight. It's Corey Bennett's up there in 12th as well. 12th through 17th. Connor Nixon on the comeback trail at the moment after a lap 1 incident, sitting down in 18th. Economos leads by 1.9 seconds to that gap, slowly shrinking between Economos, Russell and Distill. Distill's all over the back of Russell. Birchnell's all over the back of Distill. They've dropped Richard Mitchum and John Merritt. That's got Glenn Watkins for company, having moved up into 6th spot now. So Merritt up into 6th and on the charge. And now only 6.3 seconds off the lead of Economos. So Economos is struggling at the front to lead the train. To hold and leading the motor race when you're out as the sole Lone Ranger, that's the hardest thing to do. I saw an example of that at Sydney Motorsport Park over the weekend.
Well, you see, Colin, so he's also made a mistake 2 laps ago on lap 9. He lost a second and a half. But yeah, so the guy's just creeping on him a little bit. Like he managed to pull two tenths on that lap. So bit of a tick for tat at the moment. Bit of a tennis match between first and second of who's doing the fast laps. Hot laps in the lane. And Daniel Birchnell, fastest lap of the race. Only just pipping Distill by 0.02 of a second.
Well, this is the interesting thing, isn't it, Adam? Tonight we're going to get a real indicator as to who the best of the rest is in terms of where that benchmark lies. Who's got the outright who's got the outright overall speed over 60 minutes to win in Dench's absence, and who has that 1 lap speed to get that bonus point for the fastest lap, because normally all that's taken care of by the one below, the number 1, who has been the number 1 for 4 consecutive seasons now, and is on track, provided he doesn't have any more stumbles, to be the champion for the 5th time in succession. Bevan Boys all over the back of Alan Holgerson. We pick up Oscar Glissett all over the back of Corey Bennett. We've had John Merritt come into pit lane to pit at the end of lap 11. Clancy and Faulkner after that. So a couple of different strategies at play here. Merritt, aware of the distance of the race being 33 laps, has come in at the end of lap 11, around that 20-minute marker. But some of these guys will stretch this in out for another couple of laps. Maybe it'll be 12, 13, 14. Who knows? Whoa! Trouble! Big moment and a big save as well.
Arnott.
Glenn Arnott, the save of the night. In they come. Economos, Russell, Distill, Birchnell, Mitchum, Watkins, Barker, Foster, Holgerson and Moyes. All on pit road, all the top 10. Now it's interesting too because we weren't expecting that. Normally that threshold feels about that 25-minute marker.
Oh, you got the big Twinkie.
Got the big, yep.
Good save though.
Great save. So the top 16 on pit road, the field is cleansed.
He's up in second place because he didn't pit.
With the exception of Brenton Jewell and Glenn Arnott, because they're going to go around again on lap 13.
Steppy.
A race top pit lane. Here we go. How do you do it?
Here comes Johnny Merritt at speed.
Merritt up the outside using the slipstream. Merritt tucks in to 7th, which will become 5th on corrected order. As we know, Russell and Connemore still have breathing space on Birchnell, but Birchnell has a full rear view mirror of race cars and headlights. It's huge. Drill and Arlott go on. So they're going to get to that 25-minute marker easily. Everybody else got to about 23 and a half, 24 minutes before they came into the stop.
So interestingly, that pit phase has bunched them all back up again.
It has, which makes things a little bit more exciting. Whoa, jeez. Did well to keep it together, those two. Alan Holgerson in 14th place and Thomas Foster just ahead of him. Watch Foster, he hasn't necessarily been the fastest operator tonight. Started down 16th, up in 13th at the moment. So, corrected order. It's Connemore, Russell, Birchnell, Distill and Merritt. Merritt's still very much firmly in contention here.
Just realised there's one person we didn't see what happened. Wayne Hewitt was at the front. What's happened here?
Arnott's in, Jules going on for another lap. Uh-oh, Hewitt gone, running the wrong way through Mascari.
Oh, you got the earlier Twinkie.
That's it.
Oh, in the wall. Oh, that's unfortunate for Wayne.
Dave Oliver off the road now as well.
Oh, we almost did a Leclerc.
Going round onto the main straight. So still 4 retirements, but by gee, they're dropping like flies. Wheels on grass, cars off-road. It's been phenomenal so far.
Behind the marbles, so a little loose in the rear. Oh, yeah, that's almost an identical to Leclerc, just to manage to keep up the wall there. A little bit less speed helped him out compared to a Formula 1 car.
Well, that's right. And again, if you meet the wall here, good luck. It's usually a damaging encounter, be it terminal or otherwise, or tow road. Through they go. Jewel on lap 14, the current race leader, but the effective race leader is Kenny Conamos. 1.3 seconds to Russell, 3.2 then back to Distill, who has Birchnell, Merritt, Mitchum and Clancy for company. Logjam. Into the pit lane now comes Brenton Jewell. The field is cleansed. We're on lap 14, now 15, as Jewell crosses the line. Monday Night Motorsport with thanks to waste options on the platforms of the gentlemen's signals. Mitchum all over the back of Daniel Birch of John Merritt here. And Daniel Birch ahead of them, Matt is still leading the time. Riding on board with Birch. Rest of the second covers still Birch, Merritt and Mitchum at the moment. Thanks a little bit further back. Dive! Birchnell backs out of it. Holding on the third, 7 positions gained so far. Look at the commitment as they ride the curves. Using every centimetre of the track and a little bit more. Run-off areas, AstroTurf, corner exits and little strips. All getting a workout tonight. Track when it's not as cool here as what they would be at other circuits. Recent updates that have been made internally to the iRacing server over the last 18 months. Joe Baldwin mentioned it earlier. Adam, we've got the Jerez circuit in Spain coming soon to the platforms of iRacing. In fact, it's only just launched this week. What else have we got to look forward to? Have they announced any other mainstream permanent racing facilities?
Nothing officially released yet. There's a few rumoured ones, track-wise. Car-wise, this year we got the Clio Cup cars, the Formula Fords, and a new stock car variant. So just a little bit of content this season, and there's a few in the rumour mill of. I think they've. I think there was a post a while back. I can't remember what it was. And they announced like 5 or 6 tracks that will be released over the course of 2023. So it should be good to see what comes out next season.
Indeed, it should be. Should they go again? John Merritt in 5th place.
I think and I hope Portimao is on on the short list as well.
Wow, that's nice, and that is good. We know Booker Coey's coming. We're not sure what the next Australian circuit is going to be.
Well, Booker is like a long term because I think they've got to scan it shortly before they start tearing it down. So it's only an agreement at the moment. It's not locked in. It's they're planning on doing it, but nothing's started yet. But there's a few that are obviously much further along, closer to the stage of being released, and hopefully we'll see them on service soon.
All right, very nice to go. I don't think it'll take them a terribly long amount of time to scan the crowd racing out of the new Formula 1 venue in Las Vegas either later in the year. I don't think they'll muck around in doing that. Pretty much no sooner will the circuit be constructed and they'll be all over it like swats on Grandma.
Well, they haven't done Miami yet as far as I know.
Yeah, but Vegas has a little bit more going for it than Miami. So Waste Options GT3, this is the Pro Series race tonight, folks. We did advertise the Pro-Am last week. We decided to bring the Pro. John Merritt down the inside to 4th. Dives on Daniel Birchnall and moves through. Next target, Matt Distill. The fight back continues for Jay Merritt. The hot lap at Monza. 30 minutes to go. Half race distance, we're on lap 17. So again, that 32-33 marker is where we're headed. And it's touch and go as to whether we get to 33 or not. Pace is consistent in the 148s. A 147.96 for Matt Casilla, 9.4 for Daniel Birchall. Best time so far. Wretched luck for Matty Dench on lap 1 dropout. Of course, for those of you just joining us wondering where the number 1 is. An internet dropout. The mechanical failure of the sim world bites again.
This is a very healthy looking pack here, and there's a couple of stragglers looking to latch on as well. So this could get very tasty very shortly for a podium spot. And as we see, again, we're on a power circuit, and the BMWs are slowly filtering their way towards the front with their front straight line handling.
Whoa. Merritt using all the riding a little bit more. Looked a little bit taily actually on the exit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this battle. 2 more not too far back. Glenn Watkins and Brett Barker. Thomas Foster is under pressure from Benny Faulkner and also Alan Holgerson, so too Bevan Moyes. 4 cars in that fight. Oscar Blissett and Aaron Major beyond that. Rory Bennett, John Wright, Charles Mitchell, all in a fight as well. So too Connor Dixon and Glenn Arnott. Started so well until he ended up in the wall. 24 cars still running at the moment. We've lost Dave Oliver now as well, so I'm not sure what's happened to Dave. Stephen Lyons, Matt Stewart, Matty Dench and Luke Hay. Down inside, Bennett yields. Goes through. Wright's just ahead of them. But Connor Moss continues to lead by 2.3.
So now, we've seen, I'm not sure if they've done much updating with other monitors. So I think my off track might be sort of close to the mark.
Yep.
So if we bring this up, there's a couple of guys with some high scores here. Oscar's over 20. That would probably be a penalty if that's accurate. So there might be some guys here that are going to have to pay the price with a little cheeky run through the pit lane. So this could be interesting. Obviously, we won't be able to confirm that until we get the official results after the race.
Correct. Now, just so everybody's aware, India win the Border Gavaskar Trophy 2-1, with the fourth test being called a draw very early into the third session on day 5. 480 played 571. India had the lead by 91 after the first innings. There goes Tommy Hunt for a spin, and Australia in the second innings took for 175 when they said that's enough, that'll do. They'll meet in the World Test Championship final June 7 to 11 at 7-11, how good's that? At the Oval in London. So the World Test Championship finale will feature two of the great rivals of world cricket in India and Australia in England, and Australia will then stay on to contest the Ashes the following week against the England. There will be bugger all in terms of turnaround time for the Aussies. They'll play 6 test matches in less than 2 months. 1 against India and 5 against the Ashes. Blackbird 19 here. Speed. Hope you're enjoying Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club for waste options. Economos, Russell, Distill, Merritt, Birchall, Mitchum, Clancy, Watkins, Barker, Foster, Faulkner and Holders in the top 12. We are still all eyes glued to this 5-car fight. There's Russell. Are they tracking him down?
So Kenny's just creeping away, and the other guys are very, very slowly creeping onto Russell.
Things are very interesting out there at the moment. Hope you're enjoying it as well. Wherever you're tuning in around Australia.
So you can see the last 3 laps, the gap from second to third is trending towards tightening, and then the gap between first and second is opening up. So Timmy might be just a little struggle this phase of the race, being by himself. Maybe we'll see what happens after the next stop to see if he can either move a little bit further forward or whether he falls back to that clutches to that big group behind. So interesting to see what happens.
So Conor Moss on lap 20. Very nice job of it. Russell, Distill, Merritt, Birchman, Mitchell and Clancy. Second round of pit stops, as Adam said, will be rather interesting, rather spicy, rather juicy. Don't forget to join the boys again later in the week, of course. Toyota 86s and Porsches coming away on Wednesday night. Turn 1 of the new season to GSRC. Whoa, a little bit of a bobble there. But Benny Faulkner. Up we go to Brett Barker in 9th.
I think Brett was a bit wide through the lesbians there. He popped up on the thing for a little while for the off track. Oscar Gliss has picked up another one.
Faulkner under pressure from Holgerson, trying to go with Thomas Foster. Bevan Moyes is in there as well. Battle continues further down the order. Holgerson meat and the sandwich stuff there. With Faulkner trying to go with Foster and Moyes trying to go with Holgerson. Oh, Moyes was incredibly wide through that last corner. Thankfully, plenty of runoff. Corey Bennett in 18th. Connor Nixon 19th. Nixon down the inside. Goes to 18th. Clean. Rides the curve on the exit of the corner. And opens up the opportunity potentially for Bennett to have another crack around at the next of the chicanes, the tighter of the three at Monza. But he holds line, he holds position, he holds station. Conolos, Russell, Distill, no change at the top end of town. Distill still fending off Merritt, Birchmore, Mitchell and Clancy. So for all the excitement we normally get at Monza, this has been somewhat processional and tame tonight. We weren't terribly sure what sort of contest would be delivered, what sort of entertainment would be offered. We know things will heat up again once the second round of pit stops comes in.
Yeah, chances are we might, like, chances are because we swapped the server, we'll hear from the Pro-Am guys later and say they had a big one.
Exactly.
Shane Clancy first blink for the second stop.
That's it, but he's in the window. He'll be okay. He can make it home from there. 21 minutes and 10 seconds to go. Still is third. Lights ablaze. Natural light starting to fade away here. Shadows becoming more prevalent around the racetrack. Down the inside, nope. So battles everywhere in terms of cars following cars. But we saw a lot of this last year, didn't we? Particularly at the pointy end of town. Any night where Matty Dench looked like he was being headed by, you know, pick out some names, Aaron Cooper, John Merritt, Simon Nicholson, any of those guys. Any night where he looked like he was going to be challenged in 2022, it was merely just gamesmanship from these guys, happy to follow the leader for the first two stints, then pull the gloves off.
Well, I think it's a characteristic of the GT3 cars. They're a really nice car to drive, so a lot of people get behind the wheel and have a good steer and are relatively competent at them. And they just, with their characteristics of the speed and the aero that they've got, they are a hard car to battle with. So the slipstream effect probably isn't as strong as it could be. So you don't really get to like that big slingshot effect that you get in some other series, like in the V's, for example. So it can be a little tricky to race with cars in this series, but we have seen it. It's just one of those things. And also, the other thing too is with all these guys playing little bits of games, is sometimes we can get on a train of cars, and it's virtually a DRS train like a Formula 1. Especially if like the second car in the queue, who could be the one to make the move, decides to do a little bit of fuel saving and just sticks him behind, because the other guys obviously can't pass in because he's getting the tow, and he's just chilling out. So sometimes he just gets stuck in the queue.
Plenty of queues forming, not just on track but in pit lane as well.
And Birchall fastest up of the race last time by.
Watkins and Merritt all in. You're right. Birchnell in fourth place, 1:47.89. So the times are tight at the top. Back to Kenny Conomos as the race leader. We haven't seen too much of Kenny tonight, but it's nice to see him back in a club server. It has been a while between drinks for him. Looking the goods here at Monza in the absence of Matty Dench. He was on the grid, Denchy. He had an internet dropout, a network server issue on the opening lap. Packet loss and gone. We haven't seen him return. Round onto the main straight. So lap 12 was the threshold for some last time round. Will it be an 11 or 12 lap stint this time for Kenny? He's going to go across the line.
So there's Denchy in front of us. Come on, there he goes. Didn't even quite get the lap in.
Didn't even get to blink it either. There was just one blink gone. See ya. So unlucky for Denchi.
Oh,
Down inside, Matt Distill! Gets by Tim Russell! It had been brewing for a while. And these guys are on their critical lap now. They're on the 12th lap of this stint. And Distill continues the charge. Fantastic fight. That was brilliant from Matt Distill. Set it up, just happily tucked in behind and followed Timmy Russell through. Chipped away at the deficit, chased him down, bang. First port of call, first time of asking. Grabs second away from him. 4.1 is now the deficit from him to Kenny Economos. Economos pulls the trigger, comes into pit lane, takes Distill and Russell with him, so too Richard Mitchum. Then Brett Barker, Foster, Holderson, Moyes, Wright, Mitchell should all be in this time round, you'd imagine. No, some of them playing on for 13th lap. Foster, Holderson and Moyes all continue on.
So will it be Foster or will it be Holgerson who gets the lap-led credit hit?
So this is one of those moments where you just feel as though it could make or break the race. Russell tucks in behind. Mitchum's ahead of him. So Richard Mitchum, the big winner in that second round of pit stops.
Johnny Merritt fastest lap of the race though.
He's leapfrogged Russell, and Merritt, as you say, 1:47.80, the fastest number of the night.
And that's interesting. He's done that with a fuller tank than the other guys. So he's done that with he's got a little bit of a fresh tyre gain with the tyres cooling off the pit lane, and that has outweighed the weight of the fuel for the lap. And he must have got a couple of lucky slipstreams, and got himself just pipped Glenn Arnott by 0.09 of a second.
So the race now is on. We've got 5 cars yet to pit Glenn Arnott. So too Brenton Jewell actually, so make that 6 cars yet to stop second time round. Here comes Foster, Holgerson and Moyes now, so 13 the threshold for them. And then they've got 8 laps to the checkered flag.
Mitchum,
actually, no, sorry. It's touch and go. I can't tell whether it's going to be 7 or 8. We'll find out very shortly. 14 minutes to go, less than 14 on the clock now. As Economos comes across the line, it's 13:40 and 6 is 11. 8 laps to go. 8 laps to go. We will get to 33.
So it looks like Richard's been a bit of a dark horse here. He's managed to sneak up onto the podium spot through that last pit phase. So he's up in the 3rd now. Poor Timmy Russell's back in the 4th. So going from 2nd to 4th. And Johnny is still trying to get a little bit further up.
Economos, Distill and Mitchum. So Mitchum the big winner in that second round of pit stops. Russell the big loser. Johnny Merritt moves back into the top 5. Glenn Arnott's still going on, but he's got to stop again, so forget about him. He won't factor in the equation here. Reginald will be corrected order 6, then Barker, Foster, Watkins and Holgerson. But Watkins and Holgerson are all over the back of Thomas Foster like a cheap suit. Oh, here we go. Right on cue. Watkins is there. Looking at the back of Foster, almost able to SMS him.
So Watkins has just slotted himself into the Holgerson Foster battle. Insert Audi here and race on. Difference is now he's got his teammate just behind him here in Shane Clancy. So we've got two Aussie wide racing cars joining this group. So there could be a bit of a 2 versus 3 here.
So here we go. We've got a cracking scrap on our hands, as we so often do in the closing few stages. The final.
And there's only
12 minutes on the racetrack.
There's only 1.7 seconds in closing between Distill and Cosmos too. So that battle for the lead is not over yet.
In fact, there's so many battles still raging around the track. So Merritt and Russell is 1. Watkins, Holgerson, Foster, Clancy is 2. Jewell and Moyes is 3. Glenn Arnott's is coming to the field. And Bennett and Nixon are still going at it as well, 12th and 21st.
That's just letting people pass, slap down, so just the right thing here.
Mitchum, Russell, Merritt, Birch, and all the top 6. Connor Moss has led pretty much all the way since Matt Dench dropped out. Russell is 4th, Merritt is 5th.
So that 1.7 second gap's now down to 1.5. So slowly but surely be getting ever so close to that slipstream benefit, and then once he gets there, the gap should close up a little faster. But the race for the lead is not over. We could have a battle at the end of the race here, Zach.
Could indeed. 1.5 seconds now, and this is the interesting point. Matt Distill has been the hard charger all night, hasn't he? Started 10th, 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, chipped his way through, 3rd, 2nd when he got by Timmy Russell. Richard Mitchum has, of course, followed him through. He's under pressure from Russell and Merritt, and Merritt's the dark horse in that battle, as we know. Have a look at Russell under pressure here from John Merritt. Now, where is Merritt going to step this up? 9 minutes left on the clock. Hope you're enjoying it on the platforms of the GSRC. Through they go, onto the back straight. Riding on board with John Merritt, not being presented with an opportunity just yet. Contact and gone! Big one! Big one! A massive shunt! Cars everywhere! The track blocked! Oh my goodness gracious me! There's been a monster shunt on the back straight, and it started with Thomas Foster. The string in the tail right there, and that changes the game completely. They've been able to clean it up and get it out of there. But Foster's car is going nowhere but the back of the tie rope and pit lane. My goodness. Richard Mitchum with the fastest number of the night of 47.74. So Holgerson got tailing in all of this as well. And then, 1, 2, watch them go in. There were a good 5 or 6 cars caught up in that. That's the shunt of the night. That's the 3 wide down that narrow a straight does not work, gentlemen. 3, 4. And I think the garbage actually further intensified a little bit beyond that camera shot. Daniel Birchnell that had such a good run until then. 4 cars in pit lane as a result. Watkins going through the gap that wasn't there. 1, 2, 3, and then a couple more after that. In comes Glenn Arnott, Holgerson, Jewell, Foster and Hunt all in as a result of that shunt. All out of business. They've made it past 75%. That's the only consolation. But it's just upended this entire motor race. Uh-oh, John Merritt turned around. And drops back outside the top 5 into 6th. Brett Barker is 5th. Brett Barker is 5th. That's the story of the night.
Quite achiever, just minding his own business.
Bevan Moyes now up 12. So too John Wright, 9th and 11th respectively. This, not going to lie, this race was starting to become a little bit tame and a little bit processional and a little bit mundane. One incident blows it all up. Brilliant. Not for the 4 involved that are now in pit lane, but certainly for the rest of us watching on. And Brenton Jules got back out on the racetrack. Ash Davis is back out on the racetrack. Alan Holgerson and Tom Hunt are still stationary on pit road. Oh boy. Can you believe this motor race? Yeah, exactly. We're about to find out. Oh. Go and buy a lotto ticket, Shane Clancy. Akira Weber, left and right. His reflexes are fine.
Caps under a second.
They're still closing in on Chronomos, who's led the entire way. Oh boy, there's pressure.
So Matt will probably be just teetering on the edge to get that slipstream down these 2 big straights. It's just a matter of trying to take advantage of that, get back onto the back, and then see if he can make a move in these last 2 or 3 laps.
Indeed. So, Chronomos with 3 laps to go, 4.5 minutes on the clock. He will do a small bit of overtime to get home, about a minute's worth. And it's Kenny Chronomos leading. Look at the lineup of cars on the main straight here. Just the battle for first is alive and well. The next battle is Watkins and Clancy for 7th. Then Wright and Mitchell for 11th. Glissett and Major for 14th. And Bennett and Nixon for 16th. Everybody else out of contention. Glenn Arnott with 3 pit stops. 19th place. So the last of the drivers on the lead lap. Everybody else now a lap down. Foster, Jewell, Davis out of contention. Holgerson and Hunt out of business. They're parked up for the night in pit lane. And the other retirements, the 5 of them beyond that as well. Jeez, the rate of attrition just intensified tenfold.
So with Johnny Merritt sitting there in the radio, apparently it was Timmy both times that have been around. So on the log from Timmy's point of view. This battle is definitely on now. Half a second, definitely slipstreaming now. So this is now a proper battle. 2 laps to go for the win of the race.
Matt Distill, what a story this would be if he could pull this off. Oh boy. Anyone else feeling the intensity lift here? 2 laps to go at Monza. Sun setting in the distance. Lights ablaze down the main straight at the Temple of Speed. 1:40 37.47. Matt Distill on lap 31. Punches out one of his better numbers of the night. The best number of the night. He's coming home like a train. These guys will be on as low a fuel tank range as possible here. They will cough and splutter across the line if they have to. They don't want to carry any more weight than necessary. 3 minutes left on the clock. 2 minutes make it now. And then white flag flies next time by the strike. They know that when they get back to the main straight, they see the last lap flag or board, depending upon which side of the world you're racing on. They know that this thing's nearly done. Kenny Economos knows that he's within an earshot of his first win in the GT3 Championship, but so, on that same notion, Adam Lavis is Matt Distill.
I think Matt's either made a mistake or got a slowdown because he's lost a second.
Yeah, that might just about do it, actually.
I think it might be a slowdown because I think he's just back off a little bit. That's unfortunate.
That might just deny us our grandstand finish, and it puts him back in the clutches of Richard Mitchum as well. Russell's there behind them in fourth, then Barker, Merritt, Watkins and Clancy. Watkins and Clancy is who we've picked up. That's the battle for seventh. Clancy wide. That opens the door up nicely for Watkins to consolidate the position for the moment. And makes Clancy susceptible to Moyes, who's ninth. Faulkner is 10th. I'm not sure how many of these drivers are going to want to have a chat to us post-race here. Actor still might want to come in. Kenny Economos might want to come in. But who else beyond that? My goodness.
Richard, mate.
What a night. We haven't had a chat to Mr. Mitchum for a while.
Johnny's normally a pretty regular occurrence, so we might see him. Although he's had a couple of spins, he might not be the happier Merritt, but we might still come have a chat.
Kenny Economos, Matt Distill, the final lap at Monza.
So there's a couple of little battles here. You've got probably about three or four little mini battles that are brewing up. Two of them just happen to be inter-team battles.
Exactly. Distill has dropped to outside 1.6 seconds of Kenny Economos. Economos, despite the late push from Distill, has shaken off the challenge of the 0.78. The 220's going to get the job done, provided he keeps it on the black stuff in the final sector.
My guess is he's probably just cut a little bit too much of the chicane we're coming up to now with these two, just on the first apex.
I'd say so.
And just getting himself to slow down at the wrong time.
Right, just getting a little bit too excited potentially at the situation at hand.
It could be a little bit greedy, but also it could be because it's the first time in a while he's been that close to the car. He could have been a bit unsighted, just turned in that a little bit early and got pinged. Unlucky
for him, but his misfortune is victory and elation for Kenny Economos at Monza. Job done. And that prick in the flag stand not doing his bloody job again. I'm sick of Barney. What's he doing? But nevertheless, Kenny Economos wins round 7 of Waste Options GT3 at the Temple of Speed, Monza in Italy. Economos from Distill.
Might be the start line, Barney. Yeah, let's have a look. No, he's not doing anything either.
No, exactly.
Lazy prick. There's a guy on the exit of the last corner just standing behind a wall. He's going to check a flag in hand. He's not wavering.
Oh,
there he is in the background.
Yeah, he's not. They've just gone on strike. They've seen the sunset. We've had enough of this. We've got a dinner reservation booked. We're gone. What the hell are they doing? No. Let's focus on the task at hand and let's focus on the positives. Kenny Economos, the winner. Matt Distill, second. A great charge from 10th on the grid. Not the biggest mover of the night, though. That went to Bevan Moyes, also John Wright, 12 each, but Moyes gets it because he finished higher up the chain. Richard Mitchum, a podium. Nice to see him on the podium again. In the end, we had 19 drivers finish on the lead lap and 21 finish in total. Barker. So Tim Russell 4th. Brett Barker 5th. What a result that is for him. John Merritt dropped to 6th despite being a contender or not, but 2 minor incidents just put pay to that for him. 6th is the best he could manage as a result of that, but what a frustrating night at the office it would have been. Then Glenn Watkins, Shane Clancy, Bevan Moyes, Ben Faulkner, John Wright, Charles Mitchell and Daniel Birchnell. Aaron Major, Corey Bennett, Connor Nixon, Wayne Hewitt, Oscar Glissett, Glenn Arnott and Thomas Foster made up the top 20. A case of what might have been for a couple of those guys, particularly Glenn Arnott and Thomas Foster. All having that third pit stop, therefore that extra bit of invoice to pay. It's Kenny Connolos's night in Italy. He is celebrating at sunset. iRacing needs some new flag marshals. And Ash Davis rounded out the finishing order a lap down in 21st. Rate of attrition was extreme, but Brenton Jewell, Alan Holgerson and Tom Hunt all fell within 75%, but I'm not sure there. I think they'll just get classified purely for the fact that they were still in the server when the checkered flag flew. Dave Oliver, a retirement, so too Stephen Lawrence, Matt Stewart, Matty Dench and Luke Hay. Well, yeah, that was a great race at the end. It was a bit anticlimactic and a bit mundane and lackluster in the opening 2/3. The drama on the opening lap and the second lap was about as much as we saw for the first 40 minutes. And Denchy's dropout will be the talking point of the season. And then, of course, well, all hell broke loose when one driver decided to go for a gap that wasn't there late in the piece. And that was just a little bit silly because it was very clear from where we were that these cars can't go 3 wide on that narrow a racetrack. Not in that part of the circuit at the very least. We'll wait for some drivers to come in and have a chat to us post-race here, but what a night it's been. What did you enjoy most of about all of that, Adam?
Well, both races were sort of a very sort of a dramatic. There were lots of like potential stuff happening, and it was like the different, like wasn't the red hot type of like action excitement, but there was that suspenseful type of excitement. So still a good night and good fun racing. It was good to see. Like I know it's like it's one of those things. Like it makes it a little bit trickier for you to have a bit more, say, bop out with less carnage, but good to see the guys getting through Bonza nice and clean. Something we haven't seen for a while. It's one of those tracks, the first lap especially. It can be a lot of carnage. Probably lucky that Connor went left instead of right there, otherwise that could have been the first pile up. So he probably saved himself there and ended up getting a result out of it. But yeah, very good, fun night of racing.
It was indeed. We've got Thomas Foster standing by. We'll drag him in for a chat. And Tom, good evening to you. Thanks for stopping on by for a chat post-race, mate. That was a frustrating end to the night. I mean, you got back out there, you finished a lap down, all credit to you. But, I mean, 3 wide in that section of the circuit was never going to end well. And it set off a huge chain reaction. 4 cars taken out of good finishing positions and good points hauls in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, pretty devastated about that. There was no need for it. I hope race control takes a look at it. We didn't have live race control tonight, so I was just actually looking where to put that. But we live and we learn. We push on to the next one. I hope for a better position next time.
Indeed, mate. Apart from that, it looked as though things were... I mean, qualifying didn't necessarily go to plan for you. You were down in 16th place, but the rest of the race, you charged well through the field. You were making ground. Yeah,
I struggled a fair bit with the qualifying. Don't ask me why. I was better at race pace when it come to this track, and I've really been working on that fuel saving, which come to me in the end. I was really hoping for a top 5 finish, but that's okay. I didn't quite get there.
Not to be, mate. With regards to qualifying, so important at a track like this, it would seem. What was the issue there?
First off, I didn't get a tow. I didn't put myself in the right spot to get a tow like a lot of the other guys did. But second of all, I don't think my setup was quite there. I worked on it a fair bit last night, but I just couldn't get it to stick through the tighter sections. So Yeah, I'll just move on to next week and draw a blank on that one and keep going.
Well, on the subject of next week, if you thought tonight was fraught with danger, next week's not going to be much better because we're off to Brands Hatch and sprint racing, and it's a narrow bull ring at the best of times. But when you invert the top 10, the drama and the risk factor climbs up a bit.
Yeah, 100%. I'm actually quite looking forward to it. I like Brands Hatch. I like the close racing, and a lot of competition, a lot of good competitors in this series. So I'm looking forward to it, mate.
All right, mate. Very nice. And then, of course, on to Spa and Daytona after that, which we can only hope serve you better than what tonight has. But nevertheless, some good battle packs. A lot of, well, I couldn't nail the point earlier in the night, and I think it's more a fact of my fatigue than anything else. But from the last couple of days, it's finally catching up with me. But there was some good patience shown in the opening couple of laps there, where everybody was giving each other some room and being very gentlemanly, very club-like. But then, and then that was the main trait through the first two stints. There wasn't too much of an urgency about going racing. Everyone was happy to just jump in the tow and run. But then all of a sudden, that second round of pit stops comes and goes, and everything goes belly up. There's something about racing at Monza, and there's something about these 1 hours where all that drama, that intrigue, and that carnage doesn't really let fly until that second round of pit stops has come and gone.
Yeah, well, I suppose within the first two sectors, you try and save that. I think it's about 0.1 that I was trying to save per lap, which gave you the extra lap so that when you do your final pit stop, you save that little bit extra fuel and you can get going after that.
Not sure. I think it might have been Benny Faulkner that was in here that's just dropped out. Hopefully he'll come back. Tom, mate, thank you. Looking forward to next week. Hopefully you can make every poster winner between here and the rest of the season. We'll have an updated championship points table to look at in just a moment. So hang tight, because we'll get your thoughts on that when Adam is done crunching the numbers. Let me move on in a moment to Connor Nixon, but before him, the race winner here, Kenny Economos, back in the house, back in the server, back on the top step of the podium. Not necessarily the way you would have liked to have done it, mate, with Matty Dench falling foul of a dropout of packet loss. But you've got to take wins when you can get them.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, especially with Denchi around, you got to take what you can get. But yeah, definitely a shame, mate. I mean, the start went really well, and I was sticking with Denchi, and we started to make a gap. So I was pretty keen to see what was going to happen. And then yeah, a pretty tough race, mate. I was on my toes the whole time, and geez, Matt at the end there was absolutely flying.
Well, that's a fair point, mate, because when we talk about the end there, I'm not sure what exactly happened to Matt Distill in the closing stages, but whatever it was, be it an off track or a slowdown, that was exactly what you needed to release that pressure valve, because he was coming home like a train.
Yeah, exactly. I assume it was a slowdown, and I couldn't believe it when I saw it. So yeah, mate, full of gifts for me tonight.
Well, that's exactly in more ways than one. But in saying that, though, it almost proved how hard it is to lead this thing from the outset and just maintain focus and hitting your markers and crunching the numbers and punching those lap times out, because you nearly got mowed down. And had it not been for the slowdown, there was a distinct possibility that he would have been able to set up an overtaking opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. And then, yeah, like you said, it's pretty tough to keep it consistent the whole time. I had a slowdown earlier on that dropped the gap, and then a few late breakings into turn one didn't help either. So I was just constantly keeping an eye on that gap, trying to keep the guys out of the tow.
So even though it's such a high speed lap, it's a challenging one to get right, isn't it? You there, Kenny?
Oh, yep. Sorry, mate. Wrong button. Yeah, it's definitely pretty tough, mate. Especially because you've only got so many corners to do your gains in, and then you just want to push it more, and that's when it costs you. So it's pretty tricky around here.
Indeed, it is. So the obvious $64 million question: where the bloody hell have you been?
Just taking a nice break, mate.
Yep.
It's been focusing on work, but yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of free time moving forward, so I'll be sticking around a fair bit and getting involved. So hopefully I can work my way up and have some battles with Denchi. That's
Yes.
the goal. So we'll see. We'll see.
Denji needs a dance partner. He hasn't had too much in the way of company at the top end of town for a while, as everybody that's a regular viewer, let alone a regular competitor, can relate to and sympathise with. But in saying all of that, yeah, nice to have you back. I don't know what the reason for the change of circumstances is, but it's our win, it's our gain in sense of you being able to come and have a play with us on a more regular basis. We're excited about that. But obviously, you look at those calendars and races that we've got coming up. We've got Brands Hatch, we've got a sprint round there, then 60 minutes of Spa, then 90 minutes at the Daytona Road Course. How are you looking forward to those when we do see you back on the grid, mate? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you're one of those competitors in the enviable position that you can come in and shake things up in the closing rounds without having to worry about the stress and sweat of a championship.
Yeah, that's a good point, mate. Yeah, so I'll just see how quickly I can get back up on my feet. At the moment, I'll just be doing Monday and Wednesday nights, and then be getting involved in some enduro stuff with the team. But I'll definitely be around. I'm looking forward to it.
Indeed, very nicely done. And we'll come back to you as well in just a moment, mate, because we might be able to pick your brain about a couple of other things here, because there were some BOP updates earlier in the week, so I want to get everybody's thoughts on that. And I'll come back to you as well, Thomas Foster. In the meantime, Connor Nixon, where's the microphone mute button? There it is, thank you. Nice to have you on board over there on the other side of the Nullarbor. You got into some garbage fairly early in the piece, and it set the tone for the rest of the night. Unfortunately, struggled outside the top 15, but got back to 16th in the end, mate.
Yeah, it wasn't the best night I wanted, and I think Corey either. We kind of just I just had to fight my way back. It was pretty crappy from my end, but yeah, found all the time back somehow and helped the team out with Corey with some points, and yeah, not a bad night, but not a great night because yeah. Bathurst and Sonoma had way better results.
Well, that's very true. In your case, especially. But in saying all that, when you come unstuck on lap one and you're pirouetting around on surfaces that aren't bitumen, it makes a rod for your own back for the rest of the night, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. It kind of it's sitting in the back of your mind, and I did make a little mistake later in the piece. At the last corner there, but yeah, I mean, I just wanted more to come in here and say well done to Kenny than anything. Yeah, just such a dominant driver, eh? He jumped in with no practice, and we were like, oh, Kenny's joined, and that was it, you know. And just want to say well done to him. But yeah, it wasn't the best night, but I thought I'd jump in and yeah, say my piece. Can't have all good ones.
I can't say the words that I want to say at this point in time, but don't you just love it when these fluky blokes come in and do that? The Dentures, the Hobsons, and the Conomosses just come in, no practice at all, just put the visor down, the gloves on, and just smash it out of the park.
I mean, that's it, man. Like, I mean, I don't do practice myself. Even Bathurst, I didn't do much practice myself, but you know, when those boys just jump in with absolutely no practice at all. It's pretty remarkable. I need to get some tips off Kenny myself. Buggers knows if he gives me any, but yeah, I'm sure I can squeeze him to cough some out. But
yeah, definitely, mate.
I think so, but yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said before, this is not my main car, but hey, you know, you turn up and still race, and I even said to the boys mid-race, like I was like, oh, this is pretty crap, but boys like, hey, let's keep going, and yeah, ended up pretty well.
Well, it seemed to work okay for you.
Yeah, it seemed alright.
What are your thoughts on? Let's start the conversation now about the BOP update. What are your thoughts on the Bimmer? Has it been hamstrung any, or is it still as good as it was? What are your thoughts?
Oh, it's still strong, man. You see Kenny up there, so I don't think it's been affected at all. So,
okay. Personal opinion, not based on Kenny's results.
Yeah, I mean, it's still good. Nothing, I haven't noticed too much. I think it's got a tiny bit more understeer. It's always been a bit of an understeering pig. It's not what I'm used to, but I think with a bit of a setup change, I think that can be completely fixed. But yeah, it's still fine. So yeah.
Kenny, I'm not sure if it's even worth asking you because, as we say, we haven't seen you all season. But did you notice anything distinctly different about the Bimmer? Because one of the great aspects of GT3 racing is the unknown of how iRacing are going to challenge you with their BOP updates and the ins and outs of them. And every car gets impacted in some way, shape, or form, be it good or bad. What do you think of the Bimmer tonight?
Yeah, it's pretty good, mate. I mean, I only found out about the update just through Corey and the guys, and they always hook me up with a setup last minute, so I have to give a big thank you to them for that. But yeah, it feels pretty good. It feels like it's got more rotation now. I feel like it's got probably less understeer. The rear end's a little bit looser, but I love the rotation. It's just what you want when you're trail braking in. So yeah, I'm a fan.
Thomas Foster, your thoughts?
I actually raced it just the other day at Bathurst again, and I actually found I was slightly quicker. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
All right. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The thoughts from the three of them here post-race. Connor, you look at what's ahead. Brands Hatch is fraught with danger because obviously we've got bugger all overtaking opportunities around there, legitimate overtaking opportunities. It's too narrow for these bloody cars, and there's a top 10 invert just to make matters worse.
Oh, mate, it just sounds like the perfect combination.
Just sounds like Carnage Central.
Yeah, I mean, it should be good, actually. I'm glad we're getting out of these big drafting tracks, because when you're out of the draft, it's just terrible.
True.
Just trying to find the time back is like you're legit pushing the car to its limits through the corners, even trying to gap people's hard, but I think it's a bit of 50-50, but I think Brands Hatch will be good. It's going to be good to go back to a small little track and see how everyone's racecraft is, and you know how everyone drives the car properly, instead of just sitting in the draft and hitting their marks. So it should be good.
All right, very nicely done. Adam Lavis, are you still crunching championship numbers, etc.? I'll take that as oh no, there we go. Here we go. Oh, what? The more things change, the more they stay the same. M. Dench on top. 346 points, plays 275 for Ash Collins, 270 for Richard Mitchum, Thomas Foster. Have a look at that. So you're sitting fifth at the moment, Tom. That just needs to be turned around there on our leaderboard. 40 points behind Aaron Cooper, who's showing as fourth. There we go. Seventh place belongs to... Sixth is Shane Clancy. Seventh, John Merritt. 4 points between them. 2 points then back to Daniel Birchnell. 4 then back to Wayne Hewitt. And Nick Wood in 10th place, on 163 points. Now, what's interesting there is 346 to 275, 71 points. More things change, the more they stay the same. Denchi remains unimpacted by that tonight because he picks up a 0, therefore drops a 0, drops 2 zeros in fact. Ash Collins 275, only just edging out Richard Mitchum at the moment. So even though Collins was missing tonight, Mitchum's now making a real play for second outright in the championship. And as for you, oh hang on, what happened there? Thomas Foster's showing us fourth on 195, 12 clear of Shane Clancy, but then that real logjam, 183, 179, 177 and 173. We'll see a fair bit of chop and change, I would imagine, in the final 3 rounds in that fight for what is essentially fourth and fifth. But at the moment, Thomas Foster, you're hitting your goalposts, you're hitting your markers, mate. You said you'd like a top 5 championship finish. You're well and truly inside that 5 at the moment.
Yeah, as I said, I just want to keep my head down and keep focused. I don't step outside GT3s too much, so I'll just go into the next round, try and clear my head and put my eyes forward.
For sure, very nicely done. Connor Nixon, what's next for you as far as the iRacing platform is concerned, please? What's the next assignment?
Next assignment is I'm still trying to fight for the 86ers championship. I currently should sit P1 with the drop rounds in. And the F3 championship if I don't get taken out. Yeah, I'm fighting for that as well. And then doing the NZ Supercars, which I'm chasing down Dion de Graaf in that. So that's starting up very shortly in the Supercars.
How does that work, being half a day behind the Kiwis?
Yeah, I got signed up and ended up
Getting
racing.
up at breakfast time to go racing, are you?
Yeah, so because I'm in a different country, basically, as you call it.
Yeah, the old Democratic Republic of WA. That's it. Yeah.
I race at 3, which suits me very well. Then I'm ended up finished by 4-5, and ended up hanging out with the family, and it's actually really good. Because when I race for this, it's like 6 o'clock, and you're trying to scoff food or trying to get something down, have a water, you're jumping on the rig. Oh, hang on, boys, I'm getting up. Hang on, it's just such a pain in the butt. But it's good when I do that. But I'm chasing that championship, which those guys are just awesome. Pretty big competition. So in the new colours as well. So it's good.
I was going to say, Kenny, it looked fairly lonely at the front end of town tonight, but nothing like a training run to ease back into it.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Can't complain with that. It was good just to have some pressure there, like the entire time, and kind of just have some internal battles. So it's good to have a bit of that, because sometimes that can be a bit of a downfall. You know what I mean? Making mistakes under pressure. So luckily they didn't cost me the win tonight.
Well, that's very true as well. And you were very lucky that in the early stages there, once Dentry disappeared, you had that little bit of a buffer to play with. And even though it fluctuated a fair bit and they trimmed it before the first round of pit stops, you extended it during the second stint. They trimmed it again, and then obviously, as we say, the slowdown for Matt Distill is what put pay to any potential last lap thriller that we may have witnessed there. So we'll never know now whether Distill was going to be able to find a way by you or not. But BMW very dominant on a Monday night in Italy. There's no doubt about that. Thomas Foster, well done to you again, but what are you hoping to achieve across the next 3 weeks, mate? Obviously, keeping your nose clean next week at Brands Hatch will be easier said than done. I think there will be a lot of people on edge going into next Monday night, knowing how challenging that round could potentially be.
Yeah, well, I suppose you just said it all in a nutshell there, mate. Try and keep out of trouble is going to be the biggest thing. But yet again, I'd love to be in the top 10, if not top 5. We'll see how we go.
What was going through your mind, actually? Let's talk about this. What was going through your mind when all hell broke loose there late in the piece and you've had to get on the tow rope, get into pit lane?
The championship, to be quite honest. As I said, I'm really trying to stay in the top 5. And as soon as I got spun, it was just a few swear words, expletives, and
very good.
Let's get to pits and see how quickly I can get back out there to save some points.
My favourite type of words, but I'm not allowed to actually cut loose for another 10 or 11 minutes because Connor's over there in WA and 7:30's that threshold, and it's still too far away. Fuel strat, it looked pretty plain and simple tonight, guys. Everyone went long. Long, short. There was no real discrepancy. There was no real fluctuation. There was no one really reinventing the wheel. Would we put that down to potentially losing the tow if you zigged when others zagged?
Kenny, you're the man for this one.
Sorry, guys, I wasn't listening. My bad. What was
Connor? Actually, I'll ask Connor because you were dancing with Corey Bennett for most of the night.
Oh, thanks. I think there's definitely still a strategy game. You could have split it tonight, or you could have done it a bit of you could have done more on the first stop than the second stop. I think there's still strategy there compared to fuel saving. I think it's good though because it kind of brings that gap lower with the skill, I guess, that skill range, as you could call it. I think it's good just to get rid of that fuel saving, and you can just kind of focusing on your driving, basically, because that's what it killed at Le Mans. Was yeah, everyone fuel safe.
Yeah, exactly. And that was also what entertained us at Le Mans. That 2 weeks in a row, we've had two slipstream, drag racing heaven racetracks, top heavy horsepower stuff. It's been good. Monza distinctly different to Le Mans, but still known for horsepower being king. Kenny, we were talking about fuel strap. There was no real need to actually ask you with regards to fuel strap because you weren't locked in any battle throughout the course of the night. 11, 11 and 11 would have been a winner. It ended up being 12, 12 and 9, I think the two stints there, or 12, 11 and 10. So everyone played relatively the same card to the point where we had red lights and yellow lights all across our leaderboard at the end of 12 laps there in the opening stint. You've seen most of the opening stint again on replay on your screens around Australia if you're tuning in on the platforms of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club. I'm just looking at the clock. I'm going to give everybody a couple of minutes early mark tonight because only the three of you came in for a chat here, so we haven't had too much in the way of any extra conversation to make here. Looking forward to seeing what the next 3 weeks of the championship bring. And obviously we've got another couple of horsepower heavy circuits in Spa and Daytona to come. But the good thing about Daytona is we've got Corey Bennett standing by, actually. So there you go. We'll have a chat to him now. The great man's in the house. But Connor and Tom, I would say the great thing about Daytona and Spa is they're not just horsepower heavy tracks. They've also got a little bit of technical challenge to them as well, a little bit of that element that we've been missing for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like I said, it's kind of good to go back to Brands Hatch because I've always liked your Detroits and your Montreals. Just, putting the power down as early as you can and just using all the skill you can. So yeah, going to Daytona and Spa with this horsepower thing. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I'll look forward to Daytona. It's fuel saving at the same time as going flat stick and high risk, high reward. Especially through the bus stop. 100%. Took the words right out of my mouth. Corey Bennett's in the house, guys, so stay here for a couple of minutes longer while we pick his brain. Corey, up 3 spots on where you started, mate. Nice to have you on board. So 18th up to 15th, and unfortunately just either staring straight at the back of Connor Nixon or looking at him in the rearview mirror for most of the night, it would seem.
Yeah, it was really. I just didn't have the pace tonight. I still haven't quite fully got my head around the new ABS and the aero changes. I know a few of the other guys have, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out for the rest of the year. I heard you were talking about the fuel saving, and I think it's going to be probably less of it now that there's no sort of clutch in available for anybody. It'll be, do you want to risk turning your engine off and then turning it back on, basically to save fuel at places like Spa and Daytona? Or running like a fuel map and just knowing that the guy either in front or behind is probably going to run something higher and just go straight past you could be a little bit demoralizing, but playing the long game, I think, for those two tracks is definitely going to be the order of the day.
Indeed. And from your own personal standpoint, mate, what do you make of tonight? Were you happy with the result? Was there room for improvement?
From my end, definitely room for improvement. But I'm not too upset at my own individual performance. I'm wrapped for the team. I'm wrapped that Kenny and Ben have come back after taking sort of a sabbatical and 2 top 10s there. And I know Connor and I struggled a little bit, sort of lingering mid-pack. We couldn't really make inroads on anybody, but we just sort of kept our noses down. And there was a couple of incidents late in the race, and we were able to capitalise and get some handy points out of that. I think the drop rounds have been taken into consideration now, and there's still a lot of points on offer with the 2 enduros coming up as well. So honestly, my own performance I'm pretty so, but yeah, wrapped for the team. It was really good that Kenny was able to get the W. I think he nailed his last quali run. So just stoked to have him back.
Yeah, your performance in that quali was pretty good, mate. I had a pretty good toe from you, so thank you very much.
Mate, I wasn't setting it up. I wasn't setting up, I swear.
And to be fair, you guys were inadvertent beneficiaries of that garbage that happened on the back straight about 15 minutes from home that Tom Foster was caught up in.
Yeah, it was honestly, Connor and I basically were just having a discussion in the Discord saying, we're probably not making much happen here. What's sort of the go? We just kept our heads down, and then all of a sudden there was 3 or 4 positions sitting there in the pits, and we're like, oh, what happened here? So we didn't even really see it. I unfortunately got tangled up on lap 1, turn 1, which is the standard sim racing of Monza. It was just a bit of nose to tail, and I had 2.5 minutes of damage straight off the bat with I think I rear-ended Wayne Hewitt. So it was Lambo taking out Lambo, which wasn't ideal, seeing as we're already so limited. But yeah, it was and that's what I always say, particularly with the longer races. It's obviously harder to put your head down in a sprint race and go, oh well, somebody's going to make a mistake or whatever. But particularly in the last sort of the silly season, I say this last sort of 15 minutes of an endurance race, which is slightly longer than the VRS races. Things happen very quickly, and then all of a sudden, you have one incident on a straight bit of road, and it causes carnage. So
fatigue kicks in, concentration diminishes, people go for gaps that aren't there. All those.
Yeah, exactly
factors.
right. And I feel like that's amplified, particularly later in the race, which is why I enjoy sort of the longer endurance races, mainly because I'm old and I don't have the pace like I once did. But I think it's going to be something to look forward to, particularly with Spa and Daytona, two of the all-time great endurance races.
Corey, I'm going to come back to you in just a moment. Benny Faulkner's dropped on by. He was here half an hour ago. He must be running on some sort of South Australian time because he dropped off and has come back, and we're still here. So we'll get to Benny Faulkner in just a moment. However, since we're with you, Corey, from a club standpoint, mate, can you believe we're already at the start of week 7 of the season? How quick has that gone?
It's really scary, actually. Like, we're already starting to schedule for next season.
And so you should be, absolutely.
Yeah, so obviously with the iRacing schedule coming out when it does, we're sort of in an odd situation where we're not really running tracks that iRacing have run. So obviously the changes could affect a few cars moving forward. So that's always one of the things about sort of running overlapping seasons. But I can't believe it's it's week 7 already. It's just gone so quick, and with 10-week seasons, and I think 1 week off in between and then straight back into it. It doesn't give us a whole lot of time to sort of rearrange and go again and try and implement new things. So but other than that, it's gone quick, but it's also exciting moving forward. New cars, new tracks coming in. Just try and get some more bodies on the grid and some more teams and keep the battle going.
Indeed, no doubt a discussion will be had about what the schedule looks like in terms of what makes of racing, what categories, what cars are going to be on offer on all the given weeknights. I mean, there are some staples like GT3, like Formula V, like TCR, but no doubt some discussions to be had.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the TCR is something that obviously I've sort of been running this season. It's a little bit disappointing. TCR across the board in iRacing has fallen just off the face of the planet, really. They've made a few changes, and the cars just aren't fun to drive anymore. So
no one's liking it. Yep, exactly.
No one's enjoying it. And obviously with the new Formula Ford coming in, that's always a potential. And we've sort of run as a club the supercars every second season. So whether we bring that back and change the night, or it's all something that's sort of in the pipeline. But yeah, just about getting bodies on the grid and going out and having fun racing. Really, at the end of the day.
I apologise. Ben Faulkner has seen his opportunity to go again, so I mean we've missed him a second. It's a bit like Denchi used to be. Remember, if we didn't interview Denchi within about 5 seconds of him jumping into Discord, he was gone.
Yeah, he'll be off doing another practice. I guarantee it.
Brilliant. Same caper. Benny, let's have a rain check here, mate. Speaking of rain, when the bloody All Right Racing getting onto that, please? Because they've been pumping the tyres of that for about 12 months, and I feel as though it's been 12 years. But we're still waiting for it here, and we're in the middle of March in 2023. My goodness gracious me. We're also excited about how they might change the game and reinvent the wheel of iRacing, offering up a totally unique and different challenge to the sim racing, virtual racing platform. And yeah, it's been somewhat anticlimactic so far. All right, Corey, what else is happening in Clubland, please, that we should be mindful of?
Just the Enduro Series. We have the GT3 Enduro Series. Not this. This weekend. Sorry.
Yeah, this weekend. That's right.
Zandvoort.
Sunday. Yep. 4 hours.
So it's 4 hours of Zandvoort. We'd love to see some more teams, cars on the grid. I think we've got a few more entries since our last race. 4 hours on a Sunday. It's really good fun. Got race control. Obviously, we've got a broadcast going on, but the racing's really good in that endurance sort of atmosphere. And the first race at Coda. Whilst I know Coda's not a favourite of a lot of people, it was enjoyable and it was satisfying to complete. And it's just good practice coming up with all the special events coming up, particularly in the front half of the iRacing year. So obviously you got Zandvoort next week or this weekend, and then you go into the Sabering 12-hour, which is the iRacing special event on the 24th to the 26th of March. So that's always good preparation if you're driving GT3s as well. But other than that, yeah, just getting ready for the new season, and then going to get a launch behind that.
All right, with no disrespect to you, El Presidente, I'm going to leave you there right now because Benny Faulkner is back in the bunker, and I want to grab him before he drops off for a third time. Benny, top 10 tonight, a good result, 12 to 10. Just stayed out of trouble. That was the key around here, and again a beneficiary of that 5-car pile up late in the piece.
Yeah, I dropped off the pace a bit towards the end, so I was just trying to stay out of trouble, try and work with some of the other boys to catch up, but just with the draft trains it was a bit hard to do so. But yeah, the strategy was a bit off as well. I seemed to lose a fair few places in the second pit stop. Don't know how, but I was just looking at that just before. But yeah, the pile-up definitely helps give me a few places back. I don't know what happened there, but it seems to have a lot of cars involved.
All in all, mate, I'm not sure how many times we've had a chance to chat to you this season, if at all. What have you made of it so far, please?
Yeah, it's been good. I think I did one season about 2 seasons ago and just haven't had a chance to jump in, but thought I'd jump in tonight with all the other boys and have a bit of fun, so it's been good.
I was going to say, you and Kenny Economos just jumping in and picking up where things left off. Are we going to see you on a more regular basis or somewhat sporadically going forward?
I'm hoping so. I haven't got certain every Mondays, but I'm hoping to go definitely more often. I might do a lot more next season too.
All right, very nicely done. And so many people are so much more time poor this season than what they were last year and the year before because the world has, thank Christ, got back to normal. And Mons are always a great track to go racing as well, mate. High horsepower, but high risk, high reward sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of the off tracks are pretty easy to get here, so I had to watch out with a few of those. As you can see, there I got a bit loose just before. It's definitely got a lot of risk, but you can gain a lot of places from other people's mistakes too.
Indeed. And what else has been keeping you busy away from the sim racing, please? Because as you say, it's been a while.
Yeah, well, I'm only 17, so I'm still at school. So
there's
my
the
last year
answer.
at school. Yeah.
Yes, and being the last year as well. Oh, so
Yeah.
time poor studying tests and exams and all that stuff that you may or may not use later in life. Don't get me started on that. But no, we wish you the best of luck with all that then, mate. And obviously when you've got a little bit of free time on your hands, and it is keyword being little, then we look forward to seeing you here. And obviously, whether it's further academic endeavours after that or a trade or something else along the line, hopefully you'll still be able to squeeze in some sim racing going forward as well.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. Next year, once I graduate, 100% have more time, so that'll be good.
And by the way, we do appreciate the dedication because sticking around for an extra half an hour till 25 to 11 on a school night is... I'm all right with it. I'm not sure if Mum and Dad are, but that's all right. Good work. Well done. Good effort tonight in the top 10, and look forward to catching up with you sporadically throughout the season, mate. Thanks for that.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
just on that, before we wrap up and get out of here, because we're now over time, Corey, if I can come back to you, that just right there highlights how big this club has become. The two key points that I want to focus on are exactly what I was talking about with Benny. One, the way in which everyone is now more time poor than what they were during COVID, and yet this club is still thriving. But then it's also the people that come from different walks of life to make the club. It's different states and territories around Australia, New Zealand. We've even got Richard Mitchum over there in Singapore, and such a wide age range between the youngest members of the club and the oldest.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've even on a Wednesday night we have a couple of guys from England as well. So, yeah, seriously, we're sort of branched out to becoming more, particularly, the Southeast Asian countries and New Zealand is fantastic. Yeah, the broadness of not only the committee but also everybody that's sort of part of the club is sort of staggering. So. And we talk about being time poor, yet I reckon for GT3s this is probably one of the most competitive seasons across the board in terms of pace. So it's not only people are time poor, but whatever time they're getting, they're actually putting into getting faster and faster. So it's really good. And I think for us moving forward would be, keeping this sort of level of intense sort of racing up, potentially having slightly larger, more consistent grids. But I think across the board, it's been a fantastic season. 7 rounds in. So yeah, looking forward to the next season and seeing if anything else sort of pops up and eventuates.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. By the way, if you haven't already liked the Facebook page Down Under Rust, go along and follow it, because they're encouraging you to tag your local council with a little bit of graffiti that's been attached to a roadwork ahead sign outside an 80-kilometre zone. I won't repeat the word, but I think you can all hazard a guess as what's been put there in place of work. And so very, very bloody accurate as well. Hey, Corey, as El Presidente, nice to have you on board and dropping on by. Thanks for that.
Thank you very much, mate. You do a fantastic job as usual.
I try my best, even on a night where I've been struggling to wake up since the outset, as Adam will attest. And not because the racing's been lackluster in any way, shape, or form. It's just that I've hit the wall after a pretty big week of travel. Kenny Konomos, Benny Faulkner, eventually, and Connor Nixon, thanks for stopping on by. Kenny, well done, picking up the top of the tree, exactly where you'd like to be after a long layoff, and hopefully we'll get to see more of you throughout the course of the rest of the year.
Thanks, mate, and well done tonight. As always, do a stellar job.
Well, unfortunately for Tommy Foster, that was when I hit my peak volume tonight, when he got in broad in that 4 or 5 car pile-up. I thought the track was going to be blocked. I thought we were going to have to get a red flag, which iRacing doesn't have. But then again, the flag marshals had already bloody knocked off by that point, so it didn't matter. Thanks, guys. Well done. We do it with thanks to Waste Options. We do it with thanks to West Orange Motors. We do it with thanks to Blackout Electrical Solutions. Also, the great team at Login Systems. We've already mentioned Dave May and the great people there. Astutes, of course, Finance Wealth and Insurance up there in East Brisbane. Fisher & Door Lawyers and Flash Graphics. Here's a look at what's coming your way as far as Week 7 is concerned. Plenty to sink your teeth into tomorrow night. The boys are back for the Toyota 86s in the Up-and-Comers series from Laguna Seca. That'll be good fun. 2 heats and a feature race from 7:55 Eastern Daylight Time. Wednesday night from 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, the Toyota 86 Challenge hits the Red Bull Ring. That'll be good. The Porsche Cup stays there as well for a sprint race over 40 minutes. Looking forward to that. Thursday night, Formula V and TCR in action, Phillip Island and Knock Hill respectively. And their usual formats of 3 and 2 sprint races Friday night. And it'll be the open wheelers, if you don't mind. Looking forward to that. For the Dallara Formula 3s from the Suzuka Grand Prix course in Japan. 2 sprint races there, 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Sunday, the second round of the Login Systems GT3 Endurance Championship coming to you from the Circuit Park in Zandvoort in the Netherlands. That'll be race start time 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, a 4-hour race. Not sure if there's a broadcast or not, but if so, join the boys for that. And we're back with you next Monday night for the third last round of our GT3 and GT4 championships, our Waste Options Monday Night Motorsport. GT4 first up, coming to you from Detroit, Michigan, the Grand Prix of Belle Isle circuit there, and then, of course, on to Brands Hatch for the final sprint round of the season in GT3. So that's it. We're done. We hope you've enjoyed it on the platforms of the GSRC across Facebook and Twitch on this Monday night. Get out and support the merch store if you've got the opportunity to do so. GSRCmerch.myshopify.com. There it is. Get out and support the merch store, because that's the way that money goes back into the club to ensure that we can keep doing what we do here. That and the great support of our ongoing regular season sponsors as well. And don't forget the other dates of that GSRC Endurance Championship as well for GT3s. Sunday, April 30 for 6 hours of the Red Bull Ring. That'll be good. On the subject of horsepower, then on to Road Atlanta. Also a good race that gets offered up there when we hit the circuit in Georgia. Sunday, May 28, Indy 500 weekend. That'll be good. And then Sunday, the 25th of June, rather, from the Mount Panorama Circuit in Bathurst, New South Wales. 8 hours to look forward to there. So that's it. We're done. Get out of town, Matty Dench, up onto the top of the leaderboard in GT4 in just 5 rounds, and comfortably so as well. 5 from 5 and 2 zeros dropped. Also 2 zeros dropped in GT3, including tonight, but he remains on top of the leaderboard there as well. Could be a double champion on a Monday night in a couple of weeks. First-time champion in GT4, 5-time champion in GT3. The numbers he's racking up are absolutely bloody ridiculous. On behalf of the entire broadcast, commentary and production team here, Adam, sorry, are you going to...
I was just going to say, Dempsey was always saying he was only dabbling in the GT4s while the GT3 was comfortable. So with tonight, he's lost his last lifeline. Will he still turn up GT4 next week? That could be the... he may have to start focusing a bit more on GT3s if he's going to now have no lifelines and needs to maintain that gap.
Exactly,
so
right.
That might be something to see next week.
Indeed. And don't forget, next week we'll bring you Pro, then we'll head off and have a look at Pro-Am and Am in a combined split from Spa, so looking forward to that. Hope you enjoyed the show. Matty Dench getting the job done in GT4, Kenny Colomos in GT3. Action aplenty with Barber and Monza claiming a few big guns along the way. I hope you enjoyed Monday Night Motorsport across Facebook and Twitch, with thanks to Waste Options and the rest of the team here at the platforms of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club. On behalf of the crew, I'm Zach Caban, until we meet you again tomorrow night and Wednesday night with our ongoing coverage of Week 7 of Term 1 for 2023. It's bye for now. Have a great evening, everybody. Thanks for your company from Monza.